Good morning. Buenos días, bon dia, everybody. Welcome to the LATAM session. As a Latin American community, we are growing up. Just to this year, 2023, in April, we hosted an amazing and wonderful LATAM forum in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I don't know if any of you were there. Yes. It was really amazing, and the next year we are coming back for sure, and we will be much people. But what do we need to keep growing up our community? What is something that we have to be focused? Trans community everywhere is under attack. We, as an ally, as a cisgender ally, we have to work making their workplace even a better place for them. We have to be a good allies. We have to listen to their stories. We have to read the room all the time if they are feeling comfortable or not. So it's not just a good thing to do. It's also our responsibility. For that reason, we have this session today. So we invited friends from different countries here in Latin America, in this beautiful region, well, from Mexico to Chile. And also, we invited a wonderful ally that is going to moderate this panel. So please join me with a round of applause to the stage to Carla Arnaiz from JP Morgan. Welcome. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. I love to start with Celia Cruz, right? Our Celia. Thank you very much, and hello, everyone. I know it's hard after an amazing night in the animal kingdom, I know, and I appreciate that you be here with us. Thank you. As Gabriel mentioned, my name is Carla Arnaiz. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella, ella. Okay. And I'm here on a strong ally for the LGBTQ plus community. And as ally, I always said that we need to listen, learn, and lead. And today, during these 2 days, I have listened a lot from our trans and non-binary community. They are asking rights, and basic rights, like bathrooms. They are asking for respect. And you know, I am conscious that I have not done a lot for them. We need to work together. We need to be better allies. And today, as you, I'm here to learn from several out and visible trans and non-binary individuals who will help us to understand what it feels to be their true selves in their countries and what we can do today to become better allies for their communities. But before I ask them to introduce themselves and share their own stories, I would like to give a quick context of the challenges this community faces in our region. Latin America has a vast difference between trans and non-binary rights. Life quality for non-binary and trans individuals differ from country to country. Some, like Argentina and Brazil, have legal framework that help improve their realities, but unfortunately, that is not enough. We can understand that in Brazil, they have the highest violence and criminalization against the trans people. And members of the community from Chile and also from Peru share similar experiences. But well, we still have some great achievements and advances also to celebrate, such as the gender identity law that allows transgender people to treat accordingly with the gender identity and have their personal documents registered by corresponding names and gender. Some countries also allow individuals to have third gender category, the category X, allowing to them to choose their designated other than female or male in their national identity documents and passports. While these are great advances, the region still has a historical debt with trans and non-binary individuals. As a life expectancy is of 35 between 35 and 41 years for trans individuals. And reports show that between 90 and 94% of trans community does not have a formal job. It is not an easy situation. This community needs us, and we need to continue learning from them. It is time for us to wake up. It's time for us to do something. Well, I will invite my guests today to introduce themselves and share their own stories. I would like to start with Agustin Barletta. Agustin is trans influencer and content creator from Argentina. Welcome, Agustin. No? Okay. You can be in the front.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have 5 minutes. I'm an Argentinian, so that's going to be challenging. You know, we like to talk about us. You know, I have 35 years old, 12 in transitioning, and it's been an awesome journey, but also challenging. I'm a social media influencer, I'm a content creator, and last year, in 2022, I was recognized by being on the board, on the top of a magazine that is the most important magazine in Argentina as their People of the Year. And I was the first transgender man to appear in that. Yeah, and that was a big deal because that shows that we trans people can be recognized by the media. And it's a really big opportunity for us, for the children to see that they can be on that cover. We grow up by telling that we can do things, that we can love, that we can have work, that we can't have a family. And we all hear that, you know? I grew up thinking I was never going to be a dad. Right now I work in the Trans Argentines Foundation, that is as a director of communications. And in there I work for the voices of the trans children to be heard and their rights to be respected. But the most important job for me, or in my life, the thing that is the most important thing, is that I'm a dad. I have a son, he is 5 years old, his name is Jeremiah, and he was a big yes in my life. When I saw him when he was born, I saw all the no's that's been said to me in him and say, yes, I can do this, I can live. You know, because they all tell us we're going to die. We are not going to have all those things that we want. And with him in my arms, I thought, yes, I can. And that's why I became an influencer. I want the kids to know that they can live. And the parents to know that they can be safe, that they can be healthy. I'm 12 years on testosterone, and I'm super healthy. You know, parents all the time have fear for their children. It's not that they don't respect them, but they have fear. You know, they have fear that they've been killed, or they can walk, or what happens on the club in here in Orlando. And as a parent, I can relate that. We have fears since they were born. So I'm here to create a better place, a better world, but we can do this only if we do this together. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Agustin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I listened to him, and I remember a phrase that was repeated yesterday: humanize the transgender community and non-binary. Okay, with us today is also Alessia Enjoque. Alessia is a specialist lead at Deloitte. Thank you, Alessia, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Thanks for the invitation. It's amazing to be here. I was asked to answer, who am I? And the truth is that to answer that question took me 35 years. But don't worry, I will give you the shorter version. On the year 2017, I was in front of an audience in a place like this one, smaller, but very important. I was in front of 60 coworkers. We arranged a meeting with the help of my other managers and other leaders. So everybody was there for a meeting about change and change resistant. I lead an engineer team, so change and change resistant are important topics for us. So I was there making a presentation about change and change resistance. And in some point, I told them the real reason they were there. I told them I am trans. My name is Alessia. And I was very nervous. I told them that I kept that to myself for a long time because it was scary. There was so much reaction, so much issues. But for the first time, I feel like I can be myself, and I wanted to share that with you. And I told them that I know change can be difficult. We all know. But I want you to remember that I am the same person who worked with you in the mornings. We solve issues in the afternoon, and sometimes we stay at night to solve an emergency. I am the same person. I was there with you. I'm the same one who shared a beer with you last week, the same one on the barbecue last month. I know your families, you know mine. I'm that same person. But I want you to know that also I am different. Because the last year, I overcame all my fears. I challenged the impossible. And now, at last, I feel free to live as my true self. So tomorrow, I will be only Alessia, and I hope we'll get along together. So see you tomorrow. Thank you. It's still hard for me to repeat the discourse because it brings me back so many memories. And the truth is that in that moment, everything was silence. But after a moment of silence, I was received with applauses, hugs, and that moment changed my life. Sorry. It's still very emotional. After that moment of encouragement, after that boost of energy, the shy engineer I was became a prominent activist for the LGBT rights. So I joined the fight for the gender identity law in Chile, and on the year 2018, we made it. So now I have my ID with my name and my gender, and that's amazing. I joined the fight for equal marriage and adoption. I'm a lesbian too, by the way. And we made it the year 2022. So after all these advances, and after all these struggles, I can say that I am an engineer. I work in Deloitte during the day. I'm an activist during the night. But the most important, I am myself 24/7. And that's amazing. And well, thank you. And well, my name is Alessia Inhoque, and my pronouns are she, her. And thank you all for your warm welcome. Thanks.
We need to reflect on what the companies can do for this community. Thank you, Deloitte. Well, our next panelist now is Bernardo Bess. Bernardo is a lawyer, litigation counsel from Uber in Brazil. Thank you for being here with us.
Hello. Good morning.
That is a result of my affection.
We are from Latin
Sorry.
America. We understand. Yeah. My name is Bernardo. My pronouns are he, him, ou ele, dele em português. It's really nice to be here with you today. I have to say to you that I'm from Brazil, I was born and raised in a city called Manaus, surrounded by the Amazon rainforest in the north of Brazil. I live for 6 years now in São Paulo, working on the legal team at Uber, and I'm also one of the co-leads of Pride at Uber for the second year. When I joined the company, I was seen as a cisgender woman. And because of the support, the information, the affection that I received at Uber, I was able to understand and also to accept my gender identity. I'm a transgender man, and the beginning of my gender transition was very complex. I didn't understand back that time how I felt as a man, but I also wanted to get pregnant. It was so hard for me to understand. After a series of therapy sessions for a couple of months, I understood that it was not a problem. I am a man, and I wanted to get pregnant. And fortunately, I will be pregnant someday. I understood that I need to do something. So I saved some money, I froze my eggs, and when I wanted to be on testosterone, I had to inject myself the opposite hormones. As I said, it was very complex. And after this process finished, I started to, I had my first injection of testosterone. And at the same month, I had the opportunity to went to a meeting at UN, the United Nations office in Brasilia. And it was the first time that I saw the transgender man saying that he wanted to get pregnant too. That we need to think about that. That Brazil needs to think about this reality, transgender realities. It was amazing because I felt for the first time that I belonged to a community. I felt for the first time the sense of belonging. And have the opportunity to be myself, to be recognized and valued for my authentic self in the workplace changed my life. Changed my life and gave me the strength that I needed to go through the daily challenges of being a transgender person, especially in Brazil. Now I'm able to bring the attention to me, as you can see right now. I had a lot of issues with communication because I couldn't bear that attention. Now I'm uncomfortable, but you know, I'm in my second summit, and now I'm doing a thing that I couldn't imagine that I was capable of, that it's not working. So I'm in a journey to be more comfortable with my communications, but, well, I have this great opportunity to be here with you tonight. So thank you for having me.
My goodness, thank you for sharing. As a mother, I said that to have a baby is something special, no, in our bodies. And thank you so much. I could understand you. Thank you. Okay, well, our last but not least participants, Elliot Cruz, Process and Capability Manager at HP from Mexico, my country. Welcome.
Good day, everyone. My name is Christian Elliot Lawrence Cruz Ibanez. For the economy of language, I'm Elliot Cruz. If you find me in social media, it's Elliot Ibanez, lowercase. following bell hooks practices. So I'm a non-binary person. I have the amazing experience that through the pandemic, I came out as non-binary. And when I already have acknowledged my bisexual and panromantic identities also. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, ella in Spanish. And I was born in 1978, so I'm 45. I will save you the math. I was a kid during the 80s, a teenager during the 90s, so that really speaks a lot of how was my process to come out as a non-binary person, maybe a little bit late in my life. So I studied sociology because that was a passion for me since I was very young. I have one major in sociology and a minor in social communication and another in gender studies. So even when I'm dedicated to our commercial organization in HP for the self-compensation portion, my real passion is share my knowledge with my HP peers and also with other companies that are also Spanish speaking. I really have that in my DNA, that I'm a person that teaches, that share the knowledge, because I think that's the only way that we can change our society. Yes, we need to work in policies, but changing our culture is something that we are very late today. So thank you very much for welcoming me, and hopefully we have a great session with everyone today.
Thank you. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, don't worry. Okay, I need another applause for my guest, please. Big, big. Okay, we will have, I think, an amazing conversation. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm here to learn from you, and I would like all of us to know, just continue educating to help you, okay? But before I start with the formal questions, I would like to know, how do you feel? How do you feel being here in Alto Anicual? Who would like to start?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
How do you feel? How do you feel being here?
Oh, this is amazing. I never thought that this would be possible. I think that we all, as transgender people, think that we couldn't make it, you know? We couldn't go to places, we couldn't stand in stages, and being here is powerful.
Powerful, perfect, thank you.
Yes,
Alessia.
I totally agree. I mean, it was an emotional start, but the thing is that it's really amazing to be part of a group that is working for equality. So many LGBTQ folks, so many allies working in the same place for our dreams. So thanks for the invitation.
Yes, I'd like to add that it's very important that Aranico is having this regional perspective and bringing people to really share their experiences and how our rights and are happening, what is happening in our regions, what we need, and not only being US-centric. It's a very important move that we are seeing here.
Thank you.
So it's my 7th summit,
Wow.
the foreign person.
Big applause.
And as always, I feel ecstatic and so overall really inspired to be able to listen to other stories, because that is really what takes us out of our bubble of privilege, that our reality is not the only one, that we have other realities, and especially that people in the community that is not trans or non-binary, that's a great opportunity to hear these stories over here.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I would like to say that I'm here in Alto Anicual. This is my 3rd conference. I started being here in 2017. But every time that I'm here, I learn, I listen, and it's amazing. All, you know, the great stories and how can I say this? But the impact and influence that all of our speakers provide to them. And the idea is how we, with this information, change the reality for our world. Thank you for that. Well, I would like just to keep the context in the legal framework for our region. And I would like to ask you, Alessia, 5 years ago, the Chilean parliament passed a law where transgender people can change their name and gender on the legal documents. Do you think this improves the lives for the community?
It's a very important law. Let's say, when I was a kid, I felt very lonely. I felt all the times that I was the only one feeling this way. but there were not a single trans person anywhere to be seen. We were non-existent for the culture, we were non-existent for the media, non-existent in the workplace, and it was hard. We were erased. We were women and men erased. And the gender identity law is a huge stepping stone because for the first time in Chile and in a lot of other places with similar laws, the state recognizes that we exist. And that's very important because you can't make public policy for somebody who doesn't exist. You can't poll, census, or make a study about someone who doesn't exist. You can't feel empathy for those who don't exist. So it's a very important change. But it doesn't end there. It's an important change also because now I have my name and my gender recognized in my ID. And that may sound like it's just some letters in a document, but it's not just like that. For so long, my identity, something as personal as my identity, was not in my power to decide about my identity. There was a bureaucrat somewhere in the state deciding that who am I, deciding what name belongs in my ID, and the fact that now I can decide that my identity is mine is very empowering, and it's a lot of help for people that are thinking of coming out of the closet to know that we are recognized as a community and also that they can have their identity recognized. Apart from that, that's the legal framework and the immediate effect. In the health part, the health progress we're making is that we have very limited health coverage for trans people, but now we exist. We can demand for budget, we can demand for public policy and health. So we are taking some steps in there, and I'm confident that the advancement will continue. In the workplace, when I came out of the closet, I was the first open trans woman in a workplace, the first open trans person. There were not a single one of reference, at least visibly. But now we are dozens. And the fact is that when I came out of the closet, it was on my bosses and my employer's authority to recognize me or not. Now it's mandated by the state. So now I am protected, even if my employer doesn't want to recognize gender identity. It's not a possibility for employers, not a possibility for locals who are selling stuff. The respect is mandated in those spaces. And that's who it should be. I deserve to work, I deserve to have my identity recognized, and we are making steps in that way. The non-binary community, sadly, is not included in the law, but the law recognizes gender identity as a right. So lawyers and judges are interpreting the law in a way that allows the recognition of non-binary folks, and more than 70 non-binary folks have already recognized their identity and their gender in the RD, so it's very important. So in other words, things are still difficult. We are still facing violence and discrimination, but we are making important progress. But the most important thing is that even now we are facing conservative backlash, a very important conservative backlash. The truth is that I am confident we are going to win, because we are not fighting for power, we are not fighting for ambition, not even for an ideology. We are fighting for our lives, for our families. So we are never going to surrender until we achieve complete equality. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Agustin, I will follow with you.
Okay.
Considering that in Argentina, a law is reserving now the 1% of public sector job for transgender people. It was approved years ago. Do you think this legislation transforms every day the life of this community and especially focus on the trans and non-binary community?
Yes, and I made a list, so I'm going to read it to you because it changed so much. It gave us so much things and rights, and although we have rights because of the law, the transgender law in Argentina is the best one in the world, I should say. Yes. This other law, the quota for the public places to work, again, it changed so much the game for us transgender people, such as financial independence, that gainful employment has led to increased financial autonomy for trans and non-binary individuals, improving their overall quality of life and enabling better access to essential services. Community visibility. By participation in the workforce, trans and non-binary individuals are increasingly visible, challenging stereotypes and cultivating broader societal understanding and acceptance. Enhancing well-being. Employment possibility impacts mental health by bolstering self-esteem, elevating stress associated with joblessness, and contributing to an overall sense of well-being. Professional advancement. Access to work translates to opportunities for skill development and career growth, resulting in higher job satisfaction and increased potential for advancement. 5 is social integration. Inclusion in workplaces, communities facilitate social integration, breaking down feelings of isolation that we have so much, and promoting a sense of belonging. That I want to stop there. We don't feel like we belong in anywhere if we are not with other people. Because so much, transgender people get kicked off their houses as they're young, and the sense of belonging is not something that we have so much. This is, sometimes we are at the workplace more than 7-8 hours a day, and that is our family. And sometimes we cannot talk about what we do on the weekend, or what we are, on who are with, not just transgender people plus LGBTQ people. Another one is empowerment. Employment empowers these individuals, allowing active participation in society, contribution to families, and positive community engagement. Legal safeguards. Workplaces often provide legal protection against discrimination, offering a safety net in case of unfair treatment. This law includes a perspective of non-discrimination based on gender identity and recognizes that it is differential with respect to other types of discrimination. Now will be cultural transformation. As workplaces become more inclusive, the positive effects ripple out, fostering greater empathy and diversity within the broader work culture. Argentina's policies facilitating trans and non-binary community access to employment has initiated this transformative shift, cultivating a society where gender identity doesn't hinder one's ability to thrive. Thank you.
Bernardo, I would like to continue with Brazil. And we know that Brazil already ranked among the highest countries in the world. This is the 14th year that they named nation with the highest number of violence and criminalization to kill people. No matter that, the rights in Brazil for LGBTQ plus community are there. What do you think is necessary to do? What the government needs to do, just to improve and reduce those rates?
Yeah, thank you for your question. For people that don't live in Brazil or are not from Brazil, maybe it's really complex to understand the nuances involved. Because when comparing to other nations, other states, Brazil has LGBTQ plus rights rank among the highest, of course, in the world. But it's also important to consider that all of, at least a majority of those protections that our community have there they come from Supreme Court decisions, not from the Congress that was supposed to doing bills and laws to protect us. During the last couple of years, our highest court has been challenged to issue decisions to protect us. That's what happened. And this happened because of the lack or the omission of the legislative to do so. So courts, at least in Brazil's civil law, are not supposed to be ruling so frequently as a first assignment. But due to the lack and the omission of the legislative in doing so, our Supreme Court are being challenged and ruling in our favor. So example of that is the ruling that just happened in Brazil. After the LGBTQ plus phobia was criminalized in a Supreme Court decision, judges started to decide that LGBTQ plus phobia only happened when it was against a couple of people, a group of people, not an individual basis. So it doesn't make sense, but they found this way of interpreting this lack of context. So the Supreme Court was challenged again recently to analyze that specific part. So in our favorite ruling, they decide that yes, LGBTQ plus phobia should be applied, it's a crime against an individual, not only a group of people. So that's the framework of Brazil right now. And of course, after the past years and this last election, the last final of last year, show us in data that Brazil is a divided country right now. And maybe that's the reason why people that we are electing are not doing what they should. They are not protecting us. They are not creating bills to protect us. Our rights, the majority of the rights that the trans and non-binary community has in Brazil came because our community challenged the Supreme Court to do so. So that's, I believe that one of the reasons why we have so many years of our highest rates of violence and murder from against the trans and non-binary community in Brazil, because not necessarily the rights that we have right now reflect the sense of the community in relation to us. So yes, the government should do a lot more than they can do right now, especially the legislative, the Congress, and companies, the private sector plays a key role in here, because bringing more diversity internally, creating workplaces that empowers us and give us benefits and allow us to be who we are authentically. We are helping to create and to build, develop more prepared professionals to be wherever we want and we need to be in our society. So it will reflect in how we communicate, in how we appear to the society, and we could influence more and more and more to have our rights respected, and the violence rates are not increasing every year as we are seeing, unfortunately, until now.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I know it's hard, but in the end, it's a journey. No, it's a journey that we need just to continue. Okay, now with you, Elliot. We know that in Argentina and Uruguay, governments mandate all national identity cards, passports, and can have gender-neutral options. Okay, do you think Mexico is ready to pass similar bills soon? And what are the biggest challenges, especially for non-binary community, on this matter?
Thank you for the question, Carla. And it's quite peculiar that maybe 2 months ago my answer will be totally different.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, apart that, I don't know any country government that won't be happy to generate more revenue with our identities being changed in these official documents and all the bureaucracy that is part of that. There's something that happened this semester in schools in Mexico. I don't know how many of you are aware, but the primary school, the second grade school specifically, are starting to use gender inclusive language. So that's something, yeah. Then again, apart of any political affiliation that we may have, we need to recognize that and support that as a community. Yeah. Because there are speaking about other very important subjects, for example, that we have more than 2 different typical families. We have extended families, lesboparental, homoparental. So that's part of what will start this change. And that's the other part of my answer. Yes, we need legislations. We need change in the government. We need public acknowledgement of our identities. But we also have to have, as I was mentioning before, that cultural change. Because again, for non-binary people, I think the greatest controversy that we have right now is with that, with gender inclusive language, that people mock up in social media, even in regular media. You see people in the news making fun when someone speaks with an E. So, oh, they say compañere, amigue. What are you saying that? That doesn't exist in the dictionary. And they totally forgot that at the end of the day, we are creating and we're evolving the language for our necessities. Yeah. So if you are happy being called Paco because you're named Francisco, what's the hard part of acknowledging ourselves and our identities?
I know. Thank you for that. And we're talking about the inclusive language. I think, especially in Spanish, it's hard. It's complex. But in the end, well, we need to understand that this gives identity for all of you, and we need to try. Thank you for remembering that. Okay, I will turn, and well, one thing that it's important for all of us to understand is the rights are there, but if the society don't work together, we are not to, continue working on these changes. We are not to do anything for this. And it's important for us to understand and to create this dialogue, to be conscious the importance of the companies to support the communities, organize us better to move, in a positive way the changes. Thank you. Thank you for this. Alessia, I will continue with you, and I would like to know, talking about the companies, what were the conditions in your previous job that allowed you to come out as a transgender woman? And what benefits did you find, around it?
Let's say that I share my story, the part where I am telling my coworkers, but even though that moment was magic, it wasn't like a Disney magical moment, something that just happened, but a lot of work from allies working behind the scenes to make that possible. So there are some heroes and some lessons to learn from that process. The first hero that I always want to thank was my former boss, Veronica. When I came out to her, year 2017, trans people out in the workplace in Chile, 0. LGBT people open in the workplace in my company, 0. She had no idea what's the procedure inside the company, what are the policies, if there is some non-discrimination, nothing, no idea. But she told me, I am with you, I support you. And that was huge, that made a huge difference. So for a lot of people, maybe still in the US in some places and in South America especially, where the things are not ready, where the policies are not there, and where the law is not there, I support you makes a world of a difference for a trans person coming out. So the lesson there, I support you. The next two heroes are the CIO of my company and HR. The next meeting we have with my boss, with me, was with the CIO, with HR. I told them I am trans. They also told me, we support you. And that was amazing. And they took two different jobs. From one part, HR made all the paperwork, non-discrimination policies, transition policies, all that is needed and made them visible to the company. And the CIO worked with his pair on HR to get all the higher ranks on this topic. I mean, you need the commitment of the higher ranks on the company to make the culture change you need for trans inclusion, for LGBT inclusion, and they made it. So, second and third lesson here from my heroes: make the paperwork and involve the higher ranks is very important. The fourth lesson, and the fourth hero, in this case is me, I took an important decision that was decisive. I didn't know back then, but it was pretty decisive, and it's that I decided to share with my coworkers. So it wasn't an order, you have to be inclusive. It wasn't a mail. It wasn't just a public policy published somewhere, so you have to comply with this policy. But was more like an invitation, something shared. I was asking for help to my teammates. So they were on board helping me when I needed them. And that makes also a huge difference. I didn't know back then, but in some other companies, I have known cases where it was an order. You have to be inclusive. And that created a lot of resistance sometimes and made things harder. So the fourth lesson is work this as a team. This is a team challenge, a company challenge, not somebody who is transitioning and you have to be inclusive. It's bigger than that. And the fifth heroes of this story are all my coworkers. After my coming out with them, I spent the rest of the day coming out with stakeholders, with internal clients, and it was a very long day. Very good reception in everywhere, but quite long, and it wasn't possible for me to talk with everybody. They took the initiative to talk with all the rest of the teams in the office, so everybody knew what was happening and was prepared for the next day. And in the next day, well, I was Alessia, and I was received with balloons and a fur animal. It was a very nice receiving from everybody. But not only that, after that, when I was just being Alessia, if they took the job of correcting microaggressions, correcting misgenderings, they covered me in that sense. So they took away from me that burden. Because you are trying to fit, you are trying to be nice, you are trying to be recognized when you are trans and just coming out. And being correcting, no, that's not my, you need to use my pronoun, no, you need to, please don't address me that way, please. It's complicated and it's a huge burden, so when they alleviated that from me was very important. So be allies, you can make a huge difference. And the fifth and sixth lesson are for my company now. Those things weren't common back then, and it's show your values. If you're an inclusive company, use our colors in your brand, in your walls, everywhere. Because if somebody is coming out, let's say in Peru, where there is no law about inclusion, but you have the LGBT colors in your brand, for instance, that person might feel more confident of coming out in that company, even if in Peru there are not such advancements yet in the legislation. And also create community. The ERGs are very important because now if somebody is trans in the company and wants to come out, they know there is a community they can ask for help. And I am there helping if anybody comes out, and somebody came out last week, so it was amazing. So 7 lessons, but that can be just resuming in one lesson, that is promote inclusivity in the workplace. LGBT inclusion, trans inclusion can change lives like it changed mine. Thanks.
When you said the word support, I remember yesterday in the plenary session, the power of work. And we as Ally need to understand that. We cannot sometimes, we do not know exactly what's happening with the community. There is a lot of things, terminologies, words, etc., that we do not understand. But just the power of words. That is something that should be clear in all of us. Thank you for that. Agustin, now with you. As a father and part of the trans community, what are some benefits that companies could create around the LGBTQ parenting?
Well, I made another list, but this one, this one I really want you to write it down, or if you can't, just reach me out after, because we need you. We need you to take this, what you heard, to your companies. And if your companies don't know how to, they can reach to us, to transgender people, and ask what do we need? And as an LGBTQ parent, I work in the state, so that's heavy. I changed when my son was born, they gave me 3 days. Just 3 days, because I'm a parent, and I didn't, my wife had him, gave birth to him. At day 3, we are still on the hospital, because she had a section, and we leave at day 4. So I have to take my vacations, my 30 days of vacations, to be with my son, to know my son. It's a really important time, you know, as a parent, to be with them as a son. You know, we need to know each other. So I made this list, and if you would like to have it, you can ask me to later. Some of the initiatives companies could create around LGBTQ parenting are inclusive parental leave, this is why, equal and sustainable parental leave regardless of gender identity or sexual orientation, gender-neutral parental leave, policies that don't assume traditional gender roles for parenting, as it would happen to you, you know? As a father, they give you 3 days, but you gave birth, so that is not gender affirming. Flexible work arrangement, remote work options, and adjust schedules for better work-life balance. Comprehensive healthcare coverage for LGBTQ family medical needs, including fertility treatments and gender-affirming care. Family planning resources, support and information for adoption, surrogacy, and assisted reproductive technologies. Diversity training, educational LGBTQ issues and challenges faced by LGBTQ parents. Employee resources groups, LGBTQ focus groups for support, advice, and policy input. Inclusive language and policies, gender inclusive and LGBTQ friendly communications and policies. Visibility and celebration, that means recognition of LGBTQ families in company communications and events. Mentorship and leadership, programs for career growth of LGBTQ parents. Another one is parenting support groups, that is really necessary. Platforms for sharing experience and advices. And last but not least is childcare assistance, subsidies or assistance for managing childcare responsibilities. These initiatives can foster an inclusive workplace that supports both LGBTQ parents and the overall diversity of employees. Thank you.
And I'm very proud to say that JP Morgan extended the 16 weeks for the parents and mothers. And we understand that important benefit. Thank you for that. Okay, Bernardo, with you. You were recently nominated at Best LGBTQ plus lawyers on the 40 list, okay? Do you think your active participation in the ERG has influenced your success? And what are the recommendations that you have for other transgender folks to keep growing in their careers?
Definitely, Carla. When I joined Uber, as I said to you, it was before the beginning of my gender transition. And at the company, I could receive a lot of information, and I got in touch with a lot of other transgender folks that already worked there. And I became member of the ERG, the Pride at Uber. And when I came out as a transgender man, we had back that time task force called Transgender Task Force, working with inclusion of transgender people inside the company. And I became one of the global leads. And after that, now I'm, as I said, one of the co-leads of the Pride in Latin America. And that work that I did there gave me not only visibility regarding the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging matters, but also in my day job in the legal team. So that said, I think there are two important things to consider. It's ERG's potential to leverage professional development and give more visibility to those people, and also the fact that regardless of the work field, the type of work you do, probably there is a way to apply diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging in your field. So a sensitive look to your work and how you could apply it, it's really, really important. That's what I'm trying to do in the 6 years in the legal team in Brazil. And being involved in the ERG leadership, being recognized by the work I do in the ERG, having this more sensitive and questioning look, regardless of my day job, maybe become, and I can say that for sure, a better professional, a better lawyer. So people don't talk about it very much, but the ERGs have a huge potential to leverage professional skills, skills that maybe that person, for example, I'm an IC, I'm an individual contributor, I'm not a manager, a people manager in the legal team. And in the ERG, you have the possibility to do plannings, to manage budget, manage people, help and support people to grow, to work in other fields, to help them understand if they want to do other type of jobs. So, and please note that for that to happen, for people to have this opportunity to improve themselves, it's really important that workplace, not the leadership team in your companies really value and recognize people for what they are doing in ERGs as volunteers, because without that, of course, it will not be feasible to be recognized. So my recommendation to transgender folks is that search for information and look for inclusive, real inclusive companies. Once you be there, you will definitely be valued for who you really are, and it will leverage your career. But I think that the most important is that considering our society and people don't know other transgender folks or non-binary folks, and it's really important to look for your own community. We are here, we are going to help you. I don't have any type of reference before I joined Uber and knew other transgender employees. So I think we want to help people achieve their goals. And let's be honest, cis white men are doing that for ages. It's not our turn around. It's now our turn. We are here for them, and because people that came before fight for us to be here. So, yes, I think that's really important.
We have a question for you, Elliot, and then we are going to open the Q&A for the rest of the audience, okay? We don't have much non-binary representation in the private sector in Latin America, okay? What is some practical guidance on building and escalating policies and programs that garner greater non-binary workplace inclusion? And could you share if HP has some kind of these policies?
Yes, sure, Carla.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy and proud to work in a company that diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice is part of our DNA. So we have developed a lot of tools in the last 10 years that are actually helping to acknowledge and help the trans and non-binary community in our company. We have a gender toolkit that it's mainly for managers, but it's also for any individual contributor that wants to have the policies and the processes and what are the recommendations during a transition process available. We also have the gender inclusive training, and we also have initiative when we're sharing our pronouns in the different communication tools, and also, a signature in Outlook. But okay, we are also in a global company that the first thinking is, okay, let's write everything in English, and mainly with the process that we have in the US. So I understand that not all companies and not HP in other locations have an Elliot that is pushing people that, okay, we need to translate that to Spanish, because again, Spanish is a very gendered language. So we need to acknowledge that we need to work with that E in many words and many terms, so people is aware when we are referring to non-binary people. And I've been pushing that. And greatly, my global D&I team has given me permission to work and collaborate on this part. But then, as I was mentioning before, and that's what I mentioned my age, I grew up with certain privilege. I grew up with certain understanding on how my non-binary identity will be public, because again, that's what it takes me so much time. When you think about a non-binary person, you think someone that has a more heteronormative body, that has certain way to express their gender. So, okay, my euphoria is my long hair, my fabulous shoes, and my gray fat body. So that's how I go into the workplace. But I know that not every people have that in their lives. And for the last 2 years, since we started to get out of the pandemic a little bit, I started to work with many young trans and non-binary people. Many of them are designers. And they are deciding not to join a corporate work because they don't feel still that they have that welcoming environment. And something that really shocked me during Pride Month, we were working with one local university in Guadalajara, and I ran into professionals that they were having totally different experiences, that they are using their identity as a political instance. And okay, I'm non-binary, I'm not being recognized by our government, so I'm not gonna have a work that I had to conform to a pronoun that it's not mine, that is not acknowledging my identity. So I will do some freelance, some, Mexicanadas, to get hired.
Sorry for that.
Yes.
Sorry, but they exist.
Get paid, and still be able to work, but not officially in a company. So that's we have to acknowledge that the younger generations are having a different reality. And again, pop our privilege bubble and start learning that that's what is coming. That we are not dealing again with that image that trans people, non-binary people were not having access to a career. That maybe that was a reality 10, 20 years ago. And most trans people were pushed into sex work, but that's no longer a reality. Now we are not seeing trans and non-binary young professionals because they still not feel that welcoming environment in many companies. So yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sure. Thank you for sure. Well, we have time for Q&A. Okay, there is one.
Hello, good morning. My name is Rafa. I'm from GSK Brazil. My day job, I am the head of technology and innovation. My day job, I started the ERG in Brazil this year in GSK. Well, I have, before my question, just to say my admiration and how courageous all of you are to be here. So congratulations for that. I have a very practical question for you guys. In GSK, we have all the requirements and everything is in place there. But we have no single trans person there or that feel comfortable saying they're trans. And when I push this matter with the company, the answer is, I don't think we are ready, and we might put those people in a position they're not going to be comfortable. When I say, okay, let's get ready, the timeline, the time frame to get ready can be years. From bathroom-neutral bathrooms to how to talk to, how to say their names correctly. My question for you guys is, should we push through and make it clear for the trans candidates that we are not ready, but if you are up for it, we are here? Or should we get ready first? That's my question for you.
Okay.
And I can see that it's a question
Go
for
ahead.
all of us here.
I think it's,
Go ahead, Allyship.
well, it's hard to answer in a direct way, but I would have to say that there is no room for not being ready, really, because when I came out of the closet, ready, well, they weren't ready, but they took the steps to be ready really fast. And that's what is going to happen in any workplace where a trans person comes out of the closet. Now, about the hiring processes, I would say that signaling that you are not ready is not really a good idea. We prefer to say that you are working on it, we are welcoming trans people, and we still have some issues we are dealing with, but you are welcome in this place. And I guess most trans people already know that not in everywhere everything is ready, but if you are working on it, it's good enough generally, because other thing that is true is that there is a lot of trans unemployment, so we have to try to move the barriers to make inclusive places, but if something is not completely ready, don't worry, come in, you're welcome.
Thank you, Allyship.
I think that we can never be ready enough. This is a process, especially when we are taking that point of view that the way most people think about trans and non-binary identities is very fixed, and it's very by the book still. So we need to do those changes, as Alessa was saying, in the run. For example, HP Mexico was the first set of HP offices around the world that had inclusive or universal bathrooms, as we say. But we were not expecting to have any trans or non-binary person using them. It's just like, okay, we need to be prepared. We don't know if someone is already trans or non-binary working in the company and need those facilities, or it's something that we have to be there, and when someone asks us, say, okay, that it's there. But that unfortunately not is the same reality for all the locations of HP across the world, because we also have these issues with local policies and culture and all that stuff. But yes, I think that we need to accommodate and also start acknowledging that we're a very diverse community itself as trans and non-binary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would just add that it's indeed a journey. When I joined Uber, I just mentioned to you that I have my savings to freeze my eggs. Back that time, Uber didn't have benefits that the company has right now, that I didn't have to pay right now to do that. We have this benefit to help employees with freezing their eggs, to help with adoption, child adoption. And one thing that I used to say is that we as transgender people, we are not transitioning alone. The entire workplace, people that we live with, people that we work with, our friends, they are transitioning with us. So when I came out at the company and I said, hey, I want to chat about that, I want to change my name and everything, they don't know. They didn't know, people that work with me in my team, how to exactly deal with it, but we were a team. We decided that how to communicate, and the timeline to communicate, and which people will communicate to the leadership, to the external partners, or everything. So we made a plan together, and it was amazing because when we had all this communication, people were already asked me by my name, Bernardo. Our team launched a gender transition guidelines, and it was amazing because I already passed that part, I can say that, but it was really incredible to see that the company was continue thinking about our reality and our needs, because I'm not the only person, people will came, so it's really a process, it's a journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, my experience was not that good. When I came out, the transgender identity law in Argentina have 1 month old, so when I go to the HR office and show them my new ID with my gender and name change, they told me, okay, what do we have to do? I say, I don't know, you have to know it. So they experienced with me, but I was working in there like 4 or 5 years, and I knew my coworkers. You know, I work in a call center, so there were a lot of us taking phone calls, and I have to tell my old name, my dead name, every 2 minutes, like 80 times a day. And they tell to me that I have to continue doing that, even though I have my new ID, my name change, and my gender change. Because they don't know how to change that on the system, and I deal with it because I have a job. And I didn't want to not have a job. So a week later, my coworkers didn't want me to go to the bathroom. Not the females, not the males. So I don't have a bathroom. And they told me, and it's weird because that's a good thing to go to the disability person bathroom. So I said, okay, I have my own bathroom because of course no one has a disability in there. And I said, well, okay, it's clean, it's mine, I can put a picture on it, no, it's going to go there. But a month later, I think, well, this is not okay. I'm just going to pee. And how I have to hide myself for that. You know, it's a human right being. So 6 months later of that, of me saying my dead name every 2 minutes, I started to get sick. I didn't want to go to the job. On the door of my work, I have fever, allergies, everything. My body was speaking. No, I don't want to be here. And so I get courage. I go to the HR and said, you know what? I'm going to not support this anymore. And when I get real mad because of that, they change it. They change everything because they were scared. They weren't in the law, you know, they weren't okay. So they changed everything the day before. So that shows me that they didn't want to. So again, if you want to, you can. It's all you have to do is want to do it. And we'll appreciate that. So thank you.
We have another question there, yeah.
Hi, my name's Rebecca, she, her pronouns. How much, if at all, does US regulation and momentum impact Latin America?
Wow.
Well, that's a good question. And you know, everything that happens here, in some way or another, somebody tries to copy it, at least in Chile, but I guess in also America happens, because all the media coverage the US has. So for instance, now we have a backlash against trans kids. And with the same quotas, with the same phrases that the conservatives are using here. So, well, let's say, first of all, we have to protect trans kids. But the thing is that, yes, also the US has been an inspiration for so long, because since Stonewall, all the advances you have, all the different leaders you have in a visible way giving hope, was part of the processes in South America, getting courage, coming out, forming alliances, forming community. It was quite important, and for that, I thank you all. I mean, when I came out, I was the first person coming out in a workplace in Chile, but I was able to search in the internet and find stories about people coming out in the US, people coming out in Spain, in Canada, and that's very important. So I would say in general that now today we are very connected all over the world. So the fights you take here are important for the rest of the world, and I hope also you can learn from the experiences we're having, because, well, you are in a complicated place right now in some states, but I think that as a lot of struggles you had in your history, it's probably something you're going to overcome, and I trust you can make it, and well, we're here if we can help you in any way.
Thank you, Alicia. Any other idea? I can say that for sure impact. But we would like to see as, you know, instead to be people coming to United States, that people from United States go to our region. They are welcome. Thank you. Another question.
Good morning, everyone. We have a question from our virtual viewer. Their name is Nicholas Swan, and the question is, our company has a strong pride BRG, but at times it feels like we get pushed back when suggesting company-wide changes and progressions relating to queer recognition and the like. What advice can you give us, younger members who want to work for that change?
Would you like to start? Okay.
First, I will let them know that need to be aware very much of what are the local processes, because that's the key thing that it's impeding some locations to have this advance into the trans and non-binary and overall the LGBTQ community. Because if we go with this business case to Malaysia, for example, we know we will face this directly no, because the law in Malaysia says this, so we cannot work in that. So first, I know there's a lot of young, eager people that wants to do the change, but first learn why we are not able to do that, and then start questioning our leadership. Then why, if we're an inclusive company and we are working globally, we're not working to do something that at least internally we can do those changes that are needed.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would say that we are working in companies. We have to make a business case sometimes to promote an idea. I mean, for instance, now has been largely proven that LGBT inclusion is a good investment. It's not just something that you do because you're a good person. I hope you are a good person. I hope you do it also because of that. But for the companies, you can make a business case for inclusion. You can make a business case for a lot of decisions. That business case can include the benefits, also can include the possible issues if you don't take that measure. So work on that, speaking in the company language, but also try to gain allies inside the company. If your direct boss is not showing that change, talk to HR. If the HR is not, check another department, but try to, well, it's kind of politics, but inside the companies, we also have politics, so try to work on that, and it's probably going to work, but the business case is quite important in the companies.
I would like to share, this is a learning journey, okay? Use your storytelling ability and connect with the best ally you have in the company, okay? But it's something that it's progressing, but you need to do more, and just, share your own stories. That helps a lot for us in HR, in talent, to understand what are the needs that you have. Okay, one more question there. Yep.
Hi, my name is Shalini. My pronouns are she, her. I come all the way from India. I have a question. So my question is, in your respective organizations, I know we are looking at job opportunities, but are we looking at any other ways to help the community apart from job opportunities, maybe education, medical? Are there any areas that any of you have explored in your organization? Thank you.
So in HP, we are really working as part of our DNA again on doing that community outreach. Not only reaching out to the employees that are part of the community, but the community overall, that it's not, again, as I was mentioning before, having that expectation to be in a corporate workplace. So we are doing a lot of projects. Some of them are dependent on the location. For example, during this Pride Month, we hosted a group of LGBTQX creators that were sharing and selling their products into the safe space that HP creates for them. So I know that's maybe a little grain and a little drop that we are contributing, but there's those kind of projects to do outreach. For example, also providing training in English and computing for the trans community with different nonprofit organizations, because sometimes we know that that's the lack of skill that make the decision to not supply a job in a company like HP. So yes, that kind of work that we're doing.
Who else?
I would say that, well, this happened in Chile. There was a Yes I Do initiative that where 50 companies sent a letter to the most important newspaper in Chile saying that equal marriage is good for the country, is good for the companies, and is good for the LGBTQ plus people. And they were asking the congressmen, congresswomen to vote for the initiative. And that was huge, because generally when you speak about LGBT inclusion, the companies are not generally where you think you are going to get support. And also generally, those who oppose those initiatives are people who want to identify like they are working with the companies. So it's very important, the visibility of the companies in those events and those decisions. But also another important part that was important in my story was that, a low visibility of your LGBT employees in a broader scenario at the company. I was supported when I decided to talk to the media with my story, to go to interviews in the morning, sometimes late at night, talking about the gender identity law. They gave me that space to be an advocate for the LGBT community. So you can support also your workers and the community and all the movement in that way.
Yeah, just to add, I think that it's really important to look for diversity not only inside the company but externally too. As companies, private sector, we do have it's important to influence the societies we serve. So, for example, in Uber case, years ago, we started to provide the opportunity for people to use their chosen names on platform. This is so important because names are one of the most important things that to identify ourselves. So when we do this kind of positioning, when we, for instance, highlighting Ada Nicole's letter that a lot of companies in Brazil assigned, stating that they defend diversity, equity, and inclusion, and this is important not only for the private sector, but the public one too. This type of actions are really, really important because we know that companies, especially huge companies like ours, we have the power to influence the society. So yes, it's really important to go proceeding that path.
Thank you. And I would like to share that JP Morgan is working with Contrata Trans in Latin America just to help them to improve the skills for that community, especially in English and technical skills. Okay, I don't know if we have time for more questions, no more, but I would like to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your stories. It has been a pleasure for me to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.